How's it going, guys, and welcome back to the channel for another Star Wars gaming video. Today I wanted to sit back and discuss the pretty dramatic way that Battlefront 2 has kind of just died right off. Now, I know there has apparently been millions of new players that have come to Battlefront 2, but we're not really seeing that when we boot the game up, and there has been a noticeable lift in players since the game's live service was cancelled. But those numbers aren't concrete at all. But it has become increasingly noticeable that players are just not playing Battlefront 2 anymore. Which to a degree is expected, obviously. The player base was always going to fall off, but it seems like it has just fallen off a cliff. Now, before you absolutely spray me in the comments, yes, some servers may still be healthily populated, so you don't have too many issues, but you're probably an exception to the rule more than anything. And all of this has me thinking what that lack of retention, despite the huge influx of players, could mean for any future prospects for Battlefront games or just Star Wars games in general. I've had a lot of you guys comment on my videos, actually an alarming amount of you guys comment on my videos in the past few weeks, saying that you can't find games anymore, particularly those of you that are on PC and Xbox, and for me to just discuss it and just weigh in my overall thoughts on Battlefront situation as a whole. Now, yes, PlayStation's player base who, watch this video are probably going to be like, oh, what are you talking about? Well, I have no problems at all. But the thing is, PlayStation is doing much better than the other two platforms. So for those PlayStation players that aren't having an issue, that's obviously because of your platform, your regional servers. So, chill. But anyway, I really wanted to get into this as I haven't spoken much about all of that sort of stuff lately, given the heavier focus on Star Wars Squadrons and expanding to other Star Wars gaming content. But before we dig deep into all of this, for those of you who didn't catch my last video, which seemed to be a lot of people, I launched my new Twitch channel the other day. We're going to start streaming on there very soon, and if things go well, we may actually end up streaming daily, which is going to be really cool, so be sure to head over there and drop a follow and stay tuned. The link will be in the description or in the top right corner of this video, and a big thank you to everyone who's already gone over there and dropped a follow in anticipation. Really, really exciting times ahead. But now let's dive right into this. So it's been 3 full months since Battlefront 2's live service was cut off, and I think it's fair to say that the player base was absolutely booming and pretty much rising in the month following the game's cancellation. So Battlefront 2, despite it coming to an end, was still a really popular game and people were happily still filling up the lobbies. Now, this was mainly due to the game becoming free on PlayStation Plus, hence PlayStation players probably not agreeing with this video, and a bunch of Star Wars games moving over to Steam. Like, it was close to 2 months ago that I was making videos on the Battlefront 2 player base still rising with millions of players on the servers according to the influx that PlayStation Plus gave Battlefront 2. The Xbox numbers weren't all that flash for a game this big though, I will say that much. The Xbox player base, according to the rough numbers, has never really been all that impressive. But it seems like things have completely died off in the past, I want to say 3 weeks or so. I've noticed it on YouTube, I've noticed it on the game's servers, the game's Reddit even, Twitter, everything. Now, I didn't plan to make a video talking about this initially as I don't want to beat a dead horse with Battlefront 2. But like I said earlier, a lot of you guys have commented on my videos expressing a lot of disappointment that, servers are already getting really empty. And I have to say, it actually surprised me that it's all happened this fast. I thought things would stay strong with Battlefront 2 until Squadrons came out, then things would quiet down from there. Now, it's not that Squadrons has gone and killed Battlefront 2 or anything like that. A lot of people just aren't keen for Squadrons because it's a game that's going to target a more niched audience rather than the broad spectrum like Battlefront would. So it's not like people have dropped Battlefront 2 to move on to the next big thing. I still think that Squadrons could have a much better release if it had sort of leaped off of Battlefront 2's active player base if live service was still going with Battlefront 2. As opposed to cancelling Battlefront 2's live service and then 6 or so months later releasing a new game when the player base is scattered and just all over the place. But that's just what I think personally. Take nothing away from Squadrons, of course. I've played it and it really impressed me. But I feel like what success Squadrons may have could have just been amplified if the Star Wars gaming player base was still thriving as opposed to just being scattered. Because nobody really knows what to do right now when it comes to Star Wars games. You either play something else entirely, or you play Battlefront 2, which has been left in a really bad state with bugs and the Grievous glitch practically ruining most aspects of the game. Which actually brings me on to my next point. So to a degree, I'm not actually surprised that Battlefront 2's player base has seemingly fallen through the floor despite its big player influx of apparently millions of players. Now, I said this a few weeks ago, Battlefront 2 was in a terrible state and I probably overcooked it saying that the game was unplayable, but when you're playing against a Grievous, you may as well put your controller down. I think it's got to be said now that any hope of a bug fix for Battlefront 2 is probably dead and buried. A lot of people thought that, Battlefront 2 was in a shocking state, so maybe a tiny server-side fix could come to the game. To, just make the game at least enjoyable to play and not a frustrating, annoying, bug-riddled mess. I made a lot of videos trying to bring that up in case the right person ended up seeing it and to just raise some awareness about how bad of a state Battlefront 2 was left in. And I guess I'm still doing that now, but I don't see anything coming of it, unfortunately, as I felt something would have happened by now. But yeah, I honestly can't say that I'm all that surprised that Battlefront 2 has seemingly kind of just died right off, even though most of us expected for it to, stay popular for a while. You can only play a game riddled with issues that's been abandoned for so long. I personally am that fed up with the bugs in Battlefront 2 that I've stopped playing the game altogether. I only jump onto Battlefront 2 to capture gameplay for videos, that is it. And even then, all I can really find in terms of game modes is like co-op and sometimes heroes versus villains if I'm lucky. All of the other game modes are practically dead, which is a real shame, but I can't blame people for walking away and playing something else. Even the hardcore players that lived and breathed Battlefront 2 are walking away. And even killstreak YouTubers as well. Like, the game's state is pushing people away, which is a real shame because Battlefront 2 came so far to get to where it is. But the final update left the game in a bad state with bugs and whatnot, and I just really wish that the last update was a little bit more polished before, live service was cut off. Now, I touched on this earlier, but I'm going to touch on it again and really hammer this home. The PlayStation player base would be faring the best out of the three main platforms due to PlayStation Plus. So I know there's going to be PlayStation players who watch this and go, oh, I find games fine. What are you talking about? It's like, yeah, 1/3 of the entire player base on specific servers, on a specific console, in specific countries can still find games, which is good for them, but they are not everybody. I have both PC and Xbox and, I've been trying for a few days in preparation for this whole video and I couldn't find anything in the larger modes and most of the smaller modes. Co-op and Heroes vs Villains is about the extent of the success I had across 2 different platforms. And keep in mind, that's not just on Australia's servers, I was server hopping. And that is really telling and, combine that with tons of you guys saying that you can't find games and you don't know what to do to get your Star Wars fix. Like, I feel ya, I really do. Short of playing through Jedi Fallen Order again, there's really not much left. Squadrons really can't come soon enough. Now, I allude to what this could mean for any plans that may be in motion behind the scenes for upcoming games, or dare I say, a Battlefront 3 a few years down the line. Well, it's obviously not good seeing a game as popular and beloved as Battlefront 2 die off so quick after its service was cut off. Especially considering the noise that was made when the game did come to an end, like the petitions and the outrage, all of that is just dead noise now. And the fact that things have died off so quick, despite the massive influx of, apparently millions of players, isn't really ideal for any future prospects for the Battlefront franchise. Like, I'm just trying to think from a business standpoint here as opposed to, a player and fan standpoint. If executives are seeing that Battlefront 2 is basically dead and buried already and the player base is dropping like flies, which it is, there's no way of denying it, then that's not going to be all too encouraging when it comes to putting a sequel into development. But executives wouldn't really know that stuff like the Grievous bug is the real reason that people have stopped playing. Like, people want to keep playing Battlefront 2, like the love for the game is there, but people are fed up with the state of the game and how it was left, and obviously the fact there's no new content definitely isn't helping either. But that's not what the people making the decisions will be seeing. So yeah, kind of a bummer, as we all know as players that, a Battlefront 3 would just be the biggest and the best thing for Star Wars games. Like, we all know that, but we're not the ones making the decisions. But yeah, guys, those are pretty much my thoughts on this whole situation. Like I said earlier, I didn't intend to make this video to, beat a dead horse with Battlefront 2. But after seeing so many comments on my videos regarding this topic, I just had to sit down and make a discussion video talking about it. Like I said, yes, there's obviously people still playing. But Battlefront 2 is dying a lot quicker than most people thought it would, and it really sucks. A small bug fix could change so much, so maybe the right person sees this and a simple bug fix or two could come server side. Honestly, who knows? But yeah, I think this is probably the final video I'm ever going to make solely focusing on Battlefront 2 unless something changes. I just don't see the point, and this whole player base drop thing has kind of cemented that notion. So yeah, that's just about it for that. But if you haven't already, be sure to head over to my Twitch and drop a follow for frequent and long live streams playing Star Wars games, other games, just chatting and just having a bit of fun. So I hope to see as many of you over there as possible, and stay tuned. But guys, that is pretty much going to do it for me today. A downer video, I know, but sorry about that. But thanks to everyone for dropping by. Be sure to like the video to help get it out there and maybe raise a little bit of awareness. And as always, subscribe to the channel for more, and I'll talk to you all in the next one.